The topic is self-talk, but firstly, elephant in the room, when it comes to self-talk, if we're talking to ourselves, that's not necessarily a sign of great mental health, although in part, I suppose it depends on how the conversation goes
Yep.
and how our whether or not our inner monologue is positive or negative, what type of conversation we're having with ourselves.
Absolutely. And I think when I was young, we used to talk about, the first sign of madness was talking to yourself, and the second sign was answering. And I always made me laugh because I've always had a really creative, strong inner, I'm going to say monologue, but
Yep.
dialogue going in
Dialogue.
my brain.
Okay. Yep.
Always. When I was a little girl, I had imaginary friends, and
Yep.
I was very good at creating pictures and words
Can
and
I
stuff.
just
But
jump in there and say you're just very creative?
oh,
The
thank you.
gifts God gave you in that area, well, yeah, sometimes people misinterpret them, but it means that, I mean, you're a creative speaker, that you are creative, of course, in music, and you're able to use that creativeness in a way which brings blessing to others, which is a good thing, right?
Absolutely. Thank you. Nice way of putting it. I appreciate that. Today, talking about self-talk is more less along the lines of imagination and creativity, and more along the lines of how we speak to ourselves
Yeah.
when something goes wrong, and that conversation that we do have, or that dialogue monologue in our head that we aim at ourselves when we perceive as a failure, whatever it
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
that we do. I don't know about you, but I think as a whole, we are very harsh on
Oh,
ourselves.
yeah.
When we do something wrong, we are very, very quick to, aim criticism at ourselves, but not even in a nice, balanced or moderated way. It's
Hmm.
very much like, oh my gosh, I'm such an idiot, or why do I keep doing this? We really do berate ourselves. Does that relate to you? Does
Yeah,
it resonate?
I'm beating myself up all the time. But in some ways, is this sort of like a defense mechanism that if we yell at ourselves enough, maybe that will give us the focus to not make the same stupid mistake next time and humiliate ourselves. It's kind of like a way of going, okay, I'm going to learn my lesson from this and not do something dumb next time until we do the dumb thing next time, right?
Yeah, and the funny thing is, when we take that conversation and aim it to somebody else, we know that that is not the best way to
Yeah,
get the best results.
yeah,
If we are trying to work, imagining, working with learning with a young person, or a little even a little child, and they fall over or they do something wrong, we do know, even though we're tempted to berate them, or what are you doing, we actually know that that's not that is not how we garner the best results,
yeah.
and yet we do it to ourselves all the time because there's nobody else around to moderate or to
Mm,
say, hey, actually there might be a better way to deal with this. So today, what I want to give you is one really, really simple tool in the middle of the self-talk, when you're bagging yourself out and berating yourself, and that is called distant self-talk. This is by a guy
okay.
called Ethan Cross, and all he suggests is that you use your own name.
Wow.
Now, it seems simple, but rather than saying, oh, I'm such an idiot, we refer to ourselves. Now, worst case scenario, then say, well, Julie is an idiot. But what I mean is that if I talk to myself as though I'm another person, so I'll say, hey,
Okay.
Julie, uh, yeah, you did stuff up there, or you actually did something wrong. And
Hmm.
what it does in a really simple way is that it makes us almost begin to treat ourselves a little more like we would treat somebody else.
Okay.
And, so by using our own name, what we're doing is we're just slightly depersonalizing ourselves. And so we kind of show just that little bit more empathy, that little bit more kindness
Hmm.
that we would tend to show. Because often, if you think about a friend who fails,
Yep.
we would, very rarely would we sit them down and go, oh, you're an idiot. But what we would say is, hey, well, hang on a minute. You, yes, you did something wrong, but let's talk about how to work our way through that, and to give ourselves the same level of grace by speaking to ourselves as though we're somebody else. That can help. So simply by using your name.
Yep.
I did this the other day. I was in a situation where I'd had an interview, and I'd said something that just wasn't quite. The way I'd said it hadn't been quite phrased right. It wasn't understood right. So when
Hmm.
I got off the interview, immediately I'm thinking, oh no, Julia, you idiot, you shouldn't have said it that way. And I was walking down the road and I thought, I need to flick this round and talk to myself as though I'm somebody else. So I
Okay.
said, Julia, you did your best at the time.
Yep.
You know how to get out of this, and you know how to make this right, and it's not going to actually be that big of a deal. And it just helped me
Wow.
to calm down and to deal with the situation. So simple little tip today, but just talking to yourself as though you're another person rather than just beating yourself up.
Now, and to be clear, this is self-talk because honestly, yeah, as I said at the beginning, talking to ourselves and answering back and losing arguments with ourselves, these aren't necessarily signs of positive mental health, but constantly referring to yourself in the third person, again, that doesn't that doesn't necessarily say poster child of wellness. But I get what you mean. This is something that we do. This is an internal conversation. This isn't something. If we're not constantly referring to ourselves in the third person, it's just the way in which we refer to ourselves, the way in which we see ourselves, has the same level of respect and empathy and understanding as it would be for somebody else that we cared about, right?
Exactly. Because what happens is we get stuck in a little loop where every time we do something wrong, we just talk to ourselves as though we are, the lowest of the low.
Yeah.
And what that does is it actually just takes us down onto a spiral. It makes it more concerning. We start to ruminate. We get stuck on the topic and we can't get out of it.
Yeah.
So a way to deal with maybe getting some more problem solving, just to actually externalize that a little bit, just be a little bit kinder to your own mind and kinder to your own self in the middle of that situation. And I often will also say, I did the best with the information I had on the day.
Yep.
Now, that could be a learning lesson to gather more information.
Yeah.
It could be a learning lesson to, maybe go away and apologize or make something right, or simply should do it differently next time.
Yep.
But it can just help to dial down that self-talk that really puts us down and puts us in a box and makes us feel really worthless.
Hey, Julia, one of the things I very much appreciate about the work that you do, this is just one simple idea, one incremental step that can make a difference in the way in which we see ourselves and the way in which we function in life. When we're talking about ourselves, when we're critiquing our own performance, include our name in there. This is just one of those wonderful things now available on your social media, but also this sounds like it should be a chapter in Be Kind to Your Mind. Now, something I noticed on the socials recently, although confessions, I got a bit confused. Be Kind to Your Mind was available as a free audio book, one day only, but then I got confused with the time zones in the States not matching up with our time zones. But seriously, this is a resource that's available as a hard copy book and now also as an audio book.
Yep. So these are available on Amazon. That's where that's come out, as on Amazon for Kindle for ebook. Also, if you don't want to buy through Amazon or download through Amazon, you can also get an ebook just on my website, and where I'll send you literally a physical download so that you can pop that on your device, or a hardcover book. Another big batch of books went out to libraries yesterday.
Wow.
And and we are very close to having them into a large chain of bookstores, which shall remain nameless until they are on the shelves.
Until you do the
They're
deal.
in the process
Exactly.
at the moment.
Hey,
Yeah.
a wonderful,
The Manor
fantastic,
bookstores.
a wonderful resource, and certainly encourage people to get that. And hey, if they get the audio book, then as well as their inner monologue, they'll be able to have your voice speaking positive things into their life as well. Julia, appreciate what you do. Thanks for being on the program once again.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Hey, thanks very much for joining us in the Rhema studio. Thanks very much for watching the interview. It's kind of nice to have an audience, actually. And if you did like what you watched, then do give us a like, do give us the thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more interviews like that one, or perhaps even better, subscribe and those interviews will come straight to you. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and we'll see you in the next one. Cheers.